Continuing politics this morning with the co-leader of the Green Party, Russel Norman, joining us this morning. Morning, Russell.
Morning, mate.
And a day from hell yesterday on the election campaign where it was revealed a non-active member of the Green Party had been putting the stickers on National Party billboards, and that also linked through to your electoral office as well. Do the links go further within the Green Party, Russell?
Not so far as I'm aware. So far as we understand what happened, there was a guy called Jolyon White who was the coordinator of it, and he was a Green Party member. He's since resigned because we'd started proceedings internally about his activities, and so he was a coordinator. There might have been other Green Party people involved. I just don't know. But certainly he seems to have been the coordinator of it. So
if you find out that there were other members putting the stickers on billboards, what will happen to them?
It kind of depends. You know, there's different levels. Like, there's one thing to coordinate a national campaign of vandalising 700 billboards, and it's different to just being, doing one thing. And so we'll just have to play it case by case.
Is vandalising a strong word to use?
Well, when I saw the stickers coming off, they seemed to pretty much destroy the billboard.
Okay.
If you destroy a billboard, you destroy a billboard.
You are coming under some criticism for coming down so hard on Jolyon and also suspending your executive assistant. Some say that you're straying from the true hardcore activist roots of the Green Party, Russell.
Well, I think that's absurd. I mean, think about the billboards, right? So if you're not a party with lots and lots of money, how do you communicate to the people of New Zealand what you stand for? One of the ways that's affordable, if you've got activists and a bit of money, is the billboards, right? You know, they were everywhere, all over town, and you can communicate your message. If the parties then start attacking each other's billboards and destroying them all, then that all comes to an end. And the only way to communicate is to buy outdoor advertising, which costs like at least $20,000 a month. For those big ones you see that National and the Conservative Party have got, because they've got lots and lots of money. So anyone who says, oh yeah, we support the destruction of billboards, it's real rad, actually that's really stupid, because this is the affordable way for progressive parties to communicate their message, and you are crazy if you destroy that.
Aren't you going too far, though, to offer help and assistance to the National Party to perhaps replace those billboards or whatever is required to get them back up and running again? But particularly when the Green Party member was non-active and really was acting outside of any kind of official Green Party response.
Yeah, I mean, Jolyon was obviously not acting, on behalf of the Green Party, and we were extremely unhappy about what he's done. But he was a Green Party member at the time. He is the partner of my executive assistant. And so, we put our hand up and said, well, we accept some responsibility for that and we'll help to fix it, because this is not the kind of campaigning we believe in. We're totally opposed to this kind of campaigning.
So you're asking some Green Party members to suck eggs and go out there and help the National Party?
Well, it's a demonstration of our values. Our values are that even the National Party, we disagree with them, but we totally defend their right to have their billboards up without being destroyed.
That would be like suggesting Green Party members vote for Goldstein and Epsom, Russell.
Yeah, well, that's your theory, Whammo, not mine.
Well, interesting though, Peter Longy, brother of David Longy's, come out and said that he suggests Labour voters do that. Hold their nose, I think is what he's saying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, voters in Epsom, they're going to make their own choices. I'm not going to tell them what to do. They're smart enough. They'll have a good think about it, and they'll make their own choices. Okay.
We do need to look at policy, because there's all these distractions going on. A couple of big announcements. There was the Auckland transport policy with the rail loop, but I've noticed there's something about Wellington as well. Tell us about what you're planning for Wellington.
So both of them basically involve moving money out of new motorway projects and into sustainable transport. So in Wellington, there's a particular focus on light rail. The government, both Labor and National, of course, agree with this. Bulldozing a 4 to 6 lane motorway through the southern suburbs to the airport, so they can get from the Beehive to the airport without seeing any of the punters. and getting caught in their filthy traffic jams. So they're going to double the tunnel. They're going to spend hundreds of millions or billions of dollars on it. Whereas we're saying, look, rather than slicing and dicing our suburbs with giant motorways, what we really want is like a light rail system so that we can get around our town. Because I'm a Wellingtonian and I live down that way. And also to improve buses and make it safe for cycling and walking. We don't have to spend any money. In fact, the Greens want to spend less money than National, but we want to change the direction of the spending.
So, as directing the money away from new motorway projects, would that be enough to cover these kinds of expensive public transport projects?
More than.
Really?
More than. I mean, just to give you a sense of the scale, we're talking National's talking $20 billion. $20 billion in 10 years, throwing at these projects. It's completely insane. Like, it beggars belief that in a world of climate change and rising oil prices that you would do this, but that's what they're doing. We can spend a lot less money than that and have a fantastic public transport system in Auckland and Wellington and Christchurch.
Okay, so $20 billion overall. How much for the Auckland and how much for the Wellington public transport projects?
Well, there's different components to it. If you're talking the rail loop, there's different prices, but you could have a fantastic Auckland rail network for well under $2 billion.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Bargain.
So for that price, you could make a big difference to the Auckland rail network. Wellington, you're talking much less than that for the light rail system, because the main cost, obviously, in Auckland is with the underground railway.
Compared to Labour Party policy, would you have more or less borrowing in the short term?
We'd have less because, from the Greens, our approach has been that you have an earthquake levy to pay for the rebuild of Christchurch. You save a lot of money from the transport budget because Labour and National want to spend so much on it. And we also raise an irrigation levy. So the fiscal position from the Greens is much more conservative than the other two parties.
Okay. And just looking overseas now, overnight, some major developments with the Occupy Wall Street protests. People were thrown out of the park there in central New York. Apparently, Bloomberg had been talking to 18 other cities around the world, and this is obviously a coordinated effort by the authorities to move the occupiers on. Chances are this is going to happen in New Zealand as well. What's your view on the Occupy New Zealand movement?
Well, I think that we need to actually deal with the underlying issues. They've got a point. We have dramatic inequality and poverty in our society. That's what we need to deal with. Rather than, attacking the protesters, let's attack the problem, which is inequality and poverty.
What do you make of the occupiers' legal standpoint to stay in places like Aotea Square?
Well, they've argued, and as I understand it, the police have accepted this argument, that they've got a Bill of Rights, right to freedom of speech, and, freedom of assembly, and that's the basis on which they're staying there. So there seems to be a strong case for it.
But not enough for yourself to go and lock arms at 3 a.m. in the morning when the police come knocking?
Yeah, I'm pretty focused on the election campaign at the moment.
Are your thoughts, though, that if police were to move, it won't happen before the election, will it? It'll happen afterwards?
I would have thought so, but you never know.
Russell Norman, thanks very much for your time this morning.
Okay, cheers, mate.
Co-leader of the Green Party.